Fred Dibnah's grand tour of Britain's industrial past has brought him to the heart of the Pennines in Yorkshire. For his steersman, Alf Molyneux, the day starts with a 2-hour routine of getting steam up.
Right, dashbox is empty now, Fred.
Is there much more in?
There's none in.
You can tell how they ended up all filthy, can't you? You know, an inch of muck stuck to them, like.
Yeah. It'll not be like that another half hour.
Eh?
It won't be like that another half hour. Will you give us a lift, Fred, with these ashes?
Yeah, all right, Cock, yeah. It's a bit dead long.
Then there's a tarpaulin that covers the engine at night to pack away.
Right, we can start polishing now, can't we?
Well, yeah, we're not polishing, rubbing the dust off.
This will get the dust off,
Yeah.
and then we'll go over it again and shine it.
Fred, ever the perfectionist, insists that the engine is always gleaming.
Hey, it works and all. Look how it's bringing that horrible burn. It must be for fish and chip shop proprietors, you know. Oh, look at that.
I'm nearly through the bloody pipe. Where are we going next?
Well, we're heading for Sheffield to go to a forge and see how they used to do it, you know.
Right.
And how they made steel when they first invented it.
And how far is
That'd
it?
be nice, though.
How far is it?
I don't know. Just keep going till we get there. It's not very far, I don't think.
Iron and steel form the vast majority of Fred's engine. When it was built, iron was relatively easy to work and could be cast into intricate shapes like the cylinder block and the front forks, but it's weak. Steel is much stronger, but more difficult to make. It's used in the plate work of the boiler and the moving parts like the axles and gears.
Well this morning.
But first, Fred's got an ambition to achieve.
Just down the road, there's a rather spectacular bridge that goes over the M62. And every time I go up the M62, I get this urge to cross it with the traction engine.
But thirsty as ever, they couldn't pass a pub without stopping.
Blow the whistle and all. The bridge. That the bridge? It looks high up, this bridge.
Yeah, it is high up, mate, I tell you.
Scammondham Bridge is the biggest single-span bridge in Europe, and it crosses the M62, the highest motorway in Britain, in spectacular style.
Got a bit of a dip in it, there, isn't it?
Don't look like dinky cars. Look at them down there. A long way down. You're not so bad. I'm 18 inches further fall than you.
Yeah.
Can we stop a minute here? Belting views at countryside.
Yeah. Well, they're exciting up here. When you're down there, you don't quite realise where you are in relation to this bridge. You can see the road to Halifax over there, you know, in the reservoir, which you see all that when you're coming down the hill on to the side, then it disappears. And then from here we can see all of it. Concrete bends, you know. So every time I've come along the M62 and seen this bridge, it's always fascinated me, and you often thought, I wonder the low weight of a traction engine. It's so high up that you don't realise how big it is.
Well, have you any doubt about it all in weight? We're best bloody get going.
No, you're all right. I've seen a few six-leggers full of rock going across, so we're all right. When you think they must have shifted a few thousand ton of rock for make this M62 just here.
Shall we get going before cracks start appearing?
If the cracks appear, there'll be no out for us. To go
We
down
could,
with
we
a,
could fall up motor and get run over.
it'll go down with a thunderous roar.
Ah, thunderous roar, and that's only us screaming. Blow your whistle.
And now it's full steam ahead for Sheffield.
There's a lot of steel in an engine like mine, and so therefore we're heading for Sheffield to have a look round there. And of course Sheffield is known all over the world as the city of steel.
Taking in so much scenery in one afternoon is thirsty work, but at last they find a pub that's open.
Are we sitting here?
Getting too old for these sort of trestles.
I'm glad for a sit down.
Right, we're all right. I'm enjoying this trip, really. Very tiring, but good fun, isn't it? Easier than working, but in some ways harder.
I'll tell you what though, all these, these beautiful things we've been and,
Places,
these nice places we've seen and that. If I was asked what was outstanding, I'd say the warmth radiating from the people we've met.
It's nice, that.
Kids at school, railings waving and people coming up every time we stop for put coal on. We've been made welcome everywhere, haven't
we've been,
that's the highlight for me.
Yeah.
But some of these hills can still be a bit of a problem for the engine. They really slow things down.
Ready when you are.
And Sheffield is very hilly. To make matters worse, it started to rain. And Fred and Alf are running late for a meeting.
I think we'd better get the map out.
Let's have a look at map. Other way.
Well, I think it's down there. Yeah.
Well, we might be running out of rain that way with this a look.
Put it away.
It's raining apart from out, it
Yeah,
looks
not
like
that way.
it's brighter that way.
Yeah.
Get out this bloody rain.
And it's down there. Right,
Wait a
pull
minute.
the map up.
Wait. Bloody map's wet through it, it'll not fold up.
They're looking for a World War II tank in a district of Sheffield called Tankersley. At the tank, they've arranged to meet someone to help them find their way.
It's pretty crudely made, isn't it? No rivets. Yeah, by 1940, they'd done away with rivets.
There was a bumpy ride on them.
Good morning.
Peter Machin is a local historian. His father worked in the steel industry.
He were a traction engine man who invented tanks, you know.
Was he?
Yeah, they were hundreds made by Rushton and Owensby. Not them, you know. I'm going a bit senile, you know. I can't put my name on it, but very famous, you know, traction engine company made the first tanks for 14 War. You know, millions of rivets and all. Not one rivet on this.
Ah, no.
You know, like the crudest of welding, you know.
Right, well, this is a Churchill tank. These were made in 1940 here.
They're quite modern.
They were, and these were the workhorses of the Royal Engineers, you know. They made 1,100 of these in just a few months here at Newton Chambers, the big ironworks all round here, you know.
We'll let you be our guide. You can ride in our luxury mechanical transport.
Excellent, be a thrill. Well, we'll go down to Winkerbank Hill where we can look down over the Don Valley.
Yeah. Not losing any steam, you know. Good. That's what we want.
All right, underneath the railway bridge there,
The tank factory has long since gone, along with much of Sheffield's steel industry.
Get away from trees. This is deep, it's warm. Oh no, there's something. Drag that up there, you know, there's a lot of water.
Right, left at the light, Fred.
Eh?
Left at the light.
We're going up Winkerbank Hill with Peter Machin to get a bird's eye view of Sheffield. And from this vantage point, you can really see how the steel industry took off here in Sheffield.
Unfortunately, progress is slow. What the plan didn't take into account is the traction engine's ability to climb hills.
Stop raining now.
The view's going to be all right.
Eh?
The view's going to be all right. It's clear enough.
Yeah. Jungle now.
Magic, that. Absolute magic.
Hey.
You got it there well, Fred.
Oh, you're calling it for a month, haven't we? It won't go up hills, but it come up there, all right.
Did you want us to go up this house track?
Yeah, apparently there's something up there we can turn round on, but that's where we get our panoramic view of the steel city. All this way, for an aerial view of Sheffield.
But when you're travelling, not all expeditions are successful.
Is there a pub on top of this hill?
I doubt it.
Hey.
There's nothing worse than going to the top of a mountain only to find the weather's got so bad you can't see a thing.
That's it. I think we'll go in the van out the way.
Get out rain a bit.
Yeah, till it stops raining. Yeah, I've had enough. So much for our panoramic view of Sheffield. Put the kettle on. Hey. Look at the state of it in here.
Yeah, sit down. Is this coffee?
I don't know, but we'll have a bit.
The weather wasn't about to improve, so they gave up. No time to hang around up here waiting for it to clear, because Fred and Alf have to get to a Sheffield forge before the shift ends. But there's always time for another quick pint.
Fred reckons there's traction drivers off the daft.
Hey, you are.
You always said traction drivers off been mad and daft.
Yeah. Well, that's a fight. Hey. It's not too bad if you've got a lid, you know.
It's no harder, it's just less pleasant, isn't it?
Yeah. If it's quite light, carry on, you know. But I mean, the mixture of oil and rain on your glasses and it becomes vision is impossible. Like there were times when I could see better without the glasses than you could, you know, wearing them. You know.
And now it's on to the forge.
There's some fair pieces of iron knocking about here, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
What are we going to see here, anyway?
Well, like forging really is when the ingot comes from the steel maker. It's like a bit open grain, as you might say, and forging it into certain shapes consolidates the molecules and makes it much stronger, you see.
Right.
That's what it's really all about, you know.
Yeah.
Independent Forging is a specialist in the forging of large steel components for the aerospace and oil industries. The works is the former site of Daniel Doncaster and Sons, one of the oldest forge masters in the world, which date back to the 1770s. The forging hammer is a 7-ton model made by B&S Massey of Manchester. They think it was constructed in the late 1800s, but nobody's really sure. Originally, it was driven by steam power, but 2 years ago they converted it to compressed air.
You what?
Who's this ring?
Yeah, oh, you ready now?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'll stand out of the way. There's been a lot of men turning that round. Getting nearer. I've got a massive compressor one. Yeah, 200 weight one. Best places we've been to, this. That's a fair piece of tackle, isn't it?
That's an 8-ton, that one.
Yeah.
It's 2 8-tons,
Yeah.
5-ton and 3-ton, and 2-ton. Well, I'd call it in old days before they had them machines. It was big cranes, bars and
10
levers.
men on to the left.
That's when you needed a sweat towel.
Yeah, yeah. Railway wagon wheel.
'This is an iron tyre for a tank, but this is exactly the way that the axles or the crankshaft for a traction engine would have been forged. A 100 years ago, when Fred's engine was built, there were over 5,000 forges like this all over Britain. Now, there are no more than 100.
Yeah, yeah. For every man who's trying to earn a living in England, there's paid £300 a week with a company car saying you can't do that because you don't wear a tin hat. There'll be bloody 20 men working and 60 looking after them. Isn't it funny how everybody who does forging, when they've actually used the bloody tool, you know, they just drop it on floor, you know.
Well, he's like that. Don't bite where it should go.
Yeah, I'm like that. And where's it gone, you know? Where's the tongues gone, you know? Bloody hell, it disappeared.
You put everything away, you know where it is next time.
Oh,
don't
I
you?
am. Yeah, well, have you worked here now?
About 28 years, me.
Yeah.
Paul's been here about 32, haven't you?
Yeah, bloody hell, that's a lot. Straight from school, like.
But I've been in the industry all my life.
Yeah,
64 now.
Yeah.
Last time I got made redundant here in 1999.
Yeah.
They closed it down altogether.
yeah,
no
yeah.
work for it.
Yeah, and
Then
then...
our managing director bought it, sent
Yeah.
for us back.
Somehow or other, I've always been attracted to dangerous, dirty things, you know. You know, like...
What do you call it?
Heavy and dirty, dangerous. Women. I'm not free of them. You know.
It was fascinating watching the forging. I've never seen forging before. Enjoyed it.
It was really good. I mean, I've never seen anybody making
iron tyres before, like them men, you know, punching a hole through the middle. That intrigued me greatly, you know. Might even have a do at that with my own hammer, you know, at home, like. I like a bigger hammer, actually, at home than when I've seen them, like.
It looks so easy, but I'm sure it takes a lot of experience. Because a lot of it seemed to be being done by eye, didn't it? I thought it was fantastic today. And the other thing that's come across is what an happy workforce it was. They feel they're doing something, and I don't know, they're a good team, weren't they?
Oh, you got to be without
You watch the two men at either side of the hammers, they can't hear one another, they're just watching one another, and each man knows what the other man's going to do next.
And when the shift finished, it was back to the pub.
Where have you driven from to get to Sheffield then? On this
Well, we don't
steam?
know. We've been halfway up a mountain.
Top round Bank Road.
We went to the top of, how do you pronounce it, Winskabank Hill?
Winkerbank.
Really big hill. To the top of the hill.
Overlooking Meadow Hall, isn't it?
Yeah. For an early view of Sheffield. And when we got to the top, it was raining that hard, you couldn't see Sheffield. See how things like changed over the last 30 years, sort of thing.
When we first started, it was all handwork, all done by hand.
Yeah.
Brought from furnace
Yeah,
by
open
crane.
the furnace door and a big spoon and hanging on
yeah,
like that. Must have been exciting then, even though it were hard, you know. Yeah. How long have you been here, like?
Left school at 15. My dad didn't particularly want me to go and work at Doncaster's in a forge, which he'd done all his life. And unbeknownst to him, I went down and had an interview and got a job purely by the fact that all my family already worked there. 2 uncles, my dad. And in the past, during the war years, 2 aunties, 3 aunties and a grandma. Forging is in your blood. And if it's not in your blood, you'll never do it.
Yeah.
I've done it for 42 years and never look back and still enjoy going to work.
After 5 generations, Pete's the last forgeman in his family. On leaving Sheffield, they're halfway through their grand tour. But Fred's illness is making the travelling hard work. So he's going to have a few days off with some old friends in Derbyshire. But on the way, there's one more place to see. It's a museum that tells the story of early steelmaking here in Sheffield.
Abbeydale Industrial Hamlet is the site of the Abbeydale Works, an 18th century side-making works with water wheels, a tilt hammer and a crucible steel furnace. A group of experts from Sheffield University are going to attempt to make us some crucible steel.
That looks good.
Preserved well, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're lucky it's survived so
I
intact.
think it's had a bit of treatment.
Shall we have a look at forge?
Yeah. Oh, these are all right, aren't they? They're called tilt hammers, these, you know. And what happens when the water wheel outside turns the flywheel, turns the spindle, the axle, you know, all them noggins at the end of the hammer shaft, and it lifts up the, you know, the hammer and bang down on the thing. So in this place, they made side blades, and they'd like get 2 pieces of ordinary mild steel or wrought iron, and forge weld a strip of steel in between, so the edge were a bit of good stuff, you know.
Because steel was so difficult and expensive to make, it was mixed with wrought iron. These tilt hammers were used to forge the mixture into blades. A water wheel powers the hammers and bellows in the forge. Large bellows create a good draft in the fire and get the steel in the forge hot enough to work.
That's really good, isn't it?
You can actually see the intakes opening and closing.
Yeah, well, one of the valves in the pieces of leather. There'll be a few cubic feet of wind goes through the pipes every time one of them goes up and down.
Yeah, very impressive. 1700s time, this, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I've seen with the silk stockings on in here.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, that's right.
Powdered wig. Right, all that to blow the furnaces over there, the forges. And now it's just a little electric motor in it, you know. Nothing. Come on.
What are we looking at next?
Oh, we're going to the smelting department. You know, the where they put the crucibles in the fire.
On the
you know.
furnace. 1829.
Ah, bloody hell. Afternoon, Rod.
Morning.
Come
All right,
to have a
Fred.
look at your crucible furnace.
Are you?
Oh, that's how. Yeah, how's the fire going, Rod? Sheffield's success as a steel-producing city really took off in the 1740s, thanks to a breakthrough by Benjamin Huntsman, who operated a local foundry. His invention of the crucible steel process made it possible to make much harder and high-quality steel in great quantities.
How much would you be able to make out of that metal that you get out of that pot?
Well,
Maybe.
that one we're doing these small ingots today, so probably 15, 20 pounds. But the large pots that were originally used here would be about 50 pounds.
Of course, crucible steel were like special stuff, weren't it?
Yeah,
For edging tools and things like that.
Files.
Oh, like turning tools and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very important material to get the Industrial Revolution going.
Oh, yeah. Before Huntsman, the quality of steel was unreliable and only 200 tons a year were produced in Sheffield. Well, this is how they used to do it, isn't it?
That's right, yes.
These furnaces haven't been used since the Second World War. Though the team has suited up for protection, it's a dangerous process.
Within 100 years of Huntsman's discovery, Sheffield was producing 20,000 tons of crucible steel a year, an amazing 40% of steel production in the whole of Europe at this time.
Oh, that's nice.
Very good. What do you do first of all? Knock it over?
When the ingot has cooled down and solidified, it's time to break the mould.
Down off the wedge.
That'll drop the thing.
Yeah.
Then push it over.
Yeah.
It'll split
The
up.
crucible.
Can't break these, can you?
No. It isn't well. Well done.
Oh, a piece of crucible steel.
Excellent.
Oh yeah, you can have your turn out back. Yeah. And that lump of steel will now go off to the rolling mill and be made into a bar or
whatever, yeah.
you can see why they really only used a bit at once, can't you? Stuck on the end of lumps of wrought iron.
Yeah.
I mean everything, all lathe tools and cutting tools, weren't they? They were all like that.
Yes.
I've actually got some where you can see steel on one side and the softer stuff like corroded to hell, like, you know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds
anyway,
like a
thanks
good
for
idea.
that. We'll see you later. We're
Right,
off.
okay.
We're off at tea.
I'll eat one.
Next stop, Derbyshire, where Fred is going to take it easy for a few days as he stays with some old traction engine friends.